My 26 meters girlfriend, 25F, thinks I slept with her sister, 22F. I was silly and I'm not even sure if I did or didn't. These past few weeks I've been staying at my girlfriend's house. She lives in the same house as her family, but her parents own another house which they usually live in another city, and that's where they are now. So it's just her and her little sister there. Because I like to spend the nights with my girlfriend, I spent most nights at her house in her bedroom, and switch between that and my apartment. We like being together, and my apartment is small and dingy, so that's why it's usually at her place. We kind of had a fight a couple of weeks ago. She went out to a party with her friends and said she wouldn't be that long. I stayed up all night waiting for her, but she didn't come back till next morning. Of course I was really upset and I shouldn't have assumed the worst, but I did, and we got into a fight. The same thing happened last night. She promised this time she'd just be a few hours. I know the parties she goes to have boys and girls there. I stayed up all night watching poop on TV, waiting for her. I started drinking one glass of whiskey after another, just out of boredom, waiting for her to come back. My mind was circling around thinking where she could be, why she could be taking so long. I feared she'd not come back till the next morning. Now this part is really fuzzy cause I was silly as duck by this point, and I could barely walk. I decided to call it quits and I staggered up to her bedroom to go to sleep. I usually sleep in my underwear, so I got down to my underwear, and I was surprised to find she was in bed. Or at least I thought it was her. Normally I would have questioned what was going on, but in my drunken state I must have just assumed she got back early and went to bed without me realizing. I remember muttering to her, "I'm sorry I got so mad at you honey," and kissing her neck, and then cuddling her and going to sleep. I have no idea if anything else happened. I don't know if romance happened. I wish I could say it didn't, but I have no memory of the event. The next morning I had a painful as duck headache. I remember waking up to my girlfriend's screams as she walked into the room in the morning. What the duck is going on? I was still dreary and unaware of my surroundings. As I came to, I realized I was lying in bed with her sister. We were both in our underwear cuddling, and her sister was facing me directly. Obviously it looked bad. My girlfriend was raging. I tried to explain, but the scene itself was incriminating enough. She told me to get out of the house, and she kicked her sister out as well. I have no idea where she went. I was in such an awful state and my headache was so bad, I barely had any idea what was going on. Painfully I went back to my home where I've been all day. I've been trying to call my girlfriend. I have not been able to reach her. She's not been responding to any calls. I tried to call her sister once as well to find out what the duck happened, but no response. I honestly have no idea what happened. Did I cheat? Did I have romance with her? How does that even happen? I know for certain I kissed her neck, but I thought it was her. I didn't know it was her sister. Why the hell would she be in her bed? Why didn't she say or do anything? Why was she cuddling me in the morning? What can I do? How can I find out what happened, or at least convince my girlfriend that I didn't cheat, even though I don't even know if I did or didn't? Too long, didn't read, was very silly, crawled into bed with girlfriend's sister thinking it was her. Girlfriend saw us in morning, freaked out and thought we were cheating, threw me out of the house. Hasn't been responding to my calls since. What should I do?
Hey guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. It would really help me out, thanks.
No matter how much explaining you do, she'll never get over this. Time to just move on and learn how to drink responsibly. You're telling me? I don't even normally drink that much. I guess I was just feeling abnormally sad and I was trying to soothe my worries and fears. I don't know if I have an alcohol problem, but I would be happy to go to AA or any form of rehab if that helps. Edit, what the duck is up with the downvotes? If I were your GF, I'd never believe this story. Hell, if I were me, I'd never believe this story. It is over. Update, my 26 meters girlfriend, 25F, thinks I slept with her sister, 22F. I was silly and I'm not even sure if I did or didn't. Okay, it's taken me almost a week to muster up enough energy to write an update. I wasn't going to honestly, I didn't see the point. Things have been miserable and my life has been falling apart, but I'm slowly picking the pieces back up. A warning to everyone reading this. This story contains forced romance. Yes, forced romance. I am slowly accepting and living with the fact that I am now a victim of forced romance. I tried writing this but it was too confusing, so now I'm re-editing it. I'm going to use girlfriend and girlfriend's sister in all cases to refer to those people to avoid confusion. When I made the last post, I had lost contact with my girlfriend and she was not responding to my calls. I eventually did manage to reach through to girlfriend's sister. She was really upset. She said her sister, girlfriend, had thrown her out of the house, was threatening her, and not even accepting to talk to her. I talked to girlfriend's sister. I told her she has to tell me exactly what happened, and that it was very important because girlfriend was in danger. She was extremely upset, acting rashly, and could possibly hurt herself. Girlfriend's sister told me she will tell me the whole story, but she made me swear that I wouldn't tell girlfriend. I lied and said yes. From her story it sounds like she intentionally took advantage of me, knew I was silly and thought she was her sister, and used it as an opportunity to have romance with me. Apparently we did have romance. After she told me that, some of the memories started faintly coming back to me, and I think I do very slightly remember we had romance now. What's worse is she said there was no protection and she was scared of pregnancy. She had a test later, she's not pregnant. I managed to eventually reach through to my girlfriend. I told her the entire story as I've said it here and in the last post, plus more detailed of course. I told her everything girlfriend's sister had told me. Girlfriend was disgusted this had happened and completely shocked, but she believed me, and she was very apologetic for accusing me of cheating. She told me that I had been forcefully romanced and it's not something I can just brush off. I told her I didn't feel traumatized or anything by it, but agreed that what happened was forced romance. Girlfriend became even more furious at girlfriend's sister for forcefully romancing her boyfriend. She told her to get out of the house, and she hasn't been back in the house since. Girlfriend has swore that she will never ever talk to her again, and from her fury, it sounds like she will live up to it. She hasn't spoken to her since. We've talked about what happened extensively, and I won't go into the details here, but she has been extremely supportive of me because I was taken advantage of and forcefully romanced. She suggested I go to counseling services or something, but I insisted I don't need them. The whole situation was extremely strange and horrific. It feels weird to be a victim of forced romance. I don't feel much different. I don't feel traumatized. But I am still aware this thing happened to me where I had control of my body wrested from me. It's a strange feeling. Too long, didn't read. It turned out girlfriend's sister did in fact force romance me and take advantage of me when I was silly. I told girlfriend about this and she apologized for how badly she had treated me. She threw her sister out of her house and is on no speaking terms with her, saying she will never talk to her again. She suggested I go to counseling services or something, but I insisted I don't need them. You should still go, at least once. People process trauma differently, but talking to someone about it can't hurt. Also, it will help your GF deal with the situation better if she thinks you are not repressing your feelings about the situation. I'm really happy your girlfriend believes you. Also, as another person who has been forcefully romanced but doesn't remember it, I didn't feel traumatized either, because well I was unconscious. I did feel extremely violated though, and in the months to come I would cry over it randomly and think about it a lot. So I would definitely recommend talking about it to someone. Why does my girlfriend always cry? I met her on OkCupid and so far everything is going really well. But I have noticed that my girlfriend cries a lot. Like a lot. Here are some instances in the past while she's cried. I brought her flowers, I brought her dinner, I cleaned up her apartment before she got home. One time we talked about the future weeks. We watched an episode of Law and Order, SFU. We watched an episode of Veronica Mars. I'd never seen it, it wasn't bad. I introduced her to my parents. She cried in the bathroom. She bought a new dress and she tried it on for me, and I told her she looked beautiful in it and that I liked the way her hair was styled because it reminded me of Kate Winslet in Titanic. We talked about our days and I listened to her day and she cried. I surprised her with an ice cream sundae with 5 cherries on it because she said she likes the maraschino cherries and is always bummed there's only one. Her dog sat in her lap. We walked by a pet store and she pet the cats and one kissed her finger. We watched an episode of Game of Thrones. She didn't like it and she cried when she told me that. She said she found it too intense and scary. I made dinner for us and she dropped her plate full of spaghetti on the floor and then her cat rolled around in it. Her mom said hi to me on Skype. I don't understand if she's just an emotional person or if I should be worried. Ring a quiet bell every time she cries and then give her Skittles. See if you can eventually get her to start crying at the ring of the bell or giving of Skittles. Are you dating an actual baby? As far as I can tell, she's at least 25 years of age. Some babies look older than they are. Was her last boyfriend harmful? She mentioned her last boyfriend wasn't good to her and that he hurt her a few times. So I think that means yes.